What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is a pretty special day. It's my 3-year mark of being in the Air Force. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, and hit that like button. Please and thank you. As you might notice, I did say our videos. I am alone, but I'm married if you don't know me. I'm Felipe. My beautiful wife is VNA, but unfortunately she's at work right now. I kind of wanted to film this alone, honestly, because otherwise she would have just been sitting here like listening to me talk, and I feel like that would have been weird. She might have had questions, but to be honest, she's been a part of my entire Air Force experience, so I don't think she would have had any questions. I mean, she probably could have just like sat there eating a snack or something, but whatever. It's okay. I think she'll be fine without being in one video. Like I said, I joined 3 years ago, July 28th, and that is today, by the way. If you check your calendar right now, it will say July 28th. And if you do the math, I joined July 28th of 2020, so prime time COVID. As you might guess, that was a very interesting experience. Before I go any further, a lot of people clowned me for this. And I mean, I don't blame them. Normally BMT, for the Air Force at least, is supposed to be 7.5 weeks. For my BMT, they dumbed it down to 5.5 weeks because of COVID. And within the first 2 weeks of me being at BMT, I got quarantined. Well, my flight got quarantined. So, 1 + 1 equals I only did 3.5 weeks of BMT. Clown me all you want, all right? Say that I'm not a real airman. Say that I didn't get the full experience. Say whatever you want. But I am here, and I wouldn't change a thing. Before I joined the Air Force, going into my senior year of high school, I never once, ever in my life, thought that I would join the Air Force, much less the military as a whole. But came time to start senior year, and I had submitted none, zero, nada, as far as college applications, because I've never been the biggest fan of school. And I didn't see a use for college, honestly, for me. I didn't have anything that I wanted to specifically study. I wasn't very interested in anything. So I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go and waste my time and like have to be in debt for no reason. So there I was, starting my senior year. All my friends submitted their college applications. Parents and everybody were so happy and proud, waiting for the acceptance letters. But people just kept looking at me like, what are you doing? Where's your college applications? What are you gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know. And I knew for sure that I wasn't just gonna stay home and like be a jackass. My mom would sooner kick me out of the house before letting that happen. So I had to do some research. I was like, what are other options? And I came across the thought of joining the military. I'm like, initially I was like, no way, never, could not be me. But that's because you think military, you think Army and Navy and all these crazy branches that do so much more than the Air Force does, quite honestly, as far as like combat. And not that I'm a bitch, but doing combat is not stuff that I ever saw myself doing. So I took a more civilized route, the Air Force. I looked into it, I liked it. I was like, this presents a really great opportunity. And I honestly had this feeling from the man above that was telling me, this is the path for you. You will prosper doing this. So just fucking full send it. And once I had the conversations with my parents, they were proud. My mom was a little bit concerned because she had never seen this coming. I mean, I never saw it coming. So I was confused too, honestly. But everybody was very supportive, and I really appreciate that. So there I was, set up all the appointments with the recruiters, or the one recruiter. My dad set it up because, I mean, he was very, very supportive. He actually was in the Army years ago, and funny enough, full circle moment kind of for the both of us, he was based here in Alaska, the same exact base. So that was really crazy when we found out. We went through the appointments with the recruiters, did the paperwork, set up my dream sheet. Well, my dream list of jobs, I guess dream sheet. And the job that I got was 8th on my list. It was last. I didn't really want this job, but I just kind of threw it in there and somehow I got picked for it. So that's kind of fucked up. Like I said, my experience is really revolvent around COVID. Once I got through the ASVAB, I really was just like spending time waiting until I had to leave. I think I took my ASVAB like January or February of 2020, and I was still doing school by March of that year. Obviously, we all know the world kind of just ended, stopped. My senior year was canceled. I mean, I was still doing school online and through like the whatchamacallit, the FaceTime on the laptops, the Zoom. Yeah, I was doing school through Zoom and everything was online. But I wasn't really doing that shit. I had already finished all my credits, so I was just kind of ignoring my classes. So I spent a lot of my time just bullshitting, just getting, my last rounds in with the boys and just enjoying my summer. A really long summer. I spent a lot of time having fun with my friends, saying my last goodbyes. And I didn't get a prom. Funny enough, V&A and I were still friends around that time. Prom was coming up, and then I was going to ask her until life got canceled. So I didn't get prom. I didn't get a proper graduation. I had to graduate through the bus loop of my school in my car alone. So pretty much I drove up to the bus loop. It was in alphabetical order, so they all had us go on different days. I went on my day. The principal came through the passenger window, or I had to roll down my passenger window, and the principal just kind of tossed the diploma into my passenger seat and then just said, "Congratulations," and I left. And I pulled out of the bus loop and then just kind of pulled over and then took a picture, took a selfie. Oh, I graduated. But I didn't get your typical day of graduating, which honestly I'm fine with. The typical graduation seems like a really long day. I liked it the way that I graduated. I didn't have a problem with it. But I did have a problem with not getting a prom. One day I promised I'm going to sneak into one with V&A and we will have our prom. Eventually came the day to leave. I had to be up really early for MEPS. That was really long. MEPS is long in general, but because of COVID, it was more spaced out because of social distancing and shit, so it just took way longer. It was such a process. I hated MEPS days the 2 times that I went. The first time to do all the initial stuff, the second time to do the in-processing and officially leaving. Such long days. Horrible, horrible. Once we got through MEPS, they took us back to the hotel. I think I might be saying this in the wrong order or something, but the point is I got to the hotel. I had to say bye to my family, and that was really emotional, obviously, but for me especially because I never really left home growing up. I've only really lived in Florida. Well, I've lived in Florida only, and I never really got to leave Florida is what I meant to say. So this is my first time leaving home, and it was alone. So I was very confused. I was scared, and with all this COVID stuff, I was never really intimidated by COVID. I'm one of those people that just kind of ignored it, if I'm being honest. But it just made it more intense, I guess, because you had to wear the masks. Everybody was freaking out about the social distancing and all that shit, and everything was just really heightened at the time. But yeah, it was really emotional saying bye to my parents, my younger sister, and my older sister. And I got back up to my hotel room, and I just kind of grabbed my seat that I had in my room and put it in front of the window and just looked out over the city, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I had never once in my life thought about joining the military. So I was just kind of sitting there confused, scared, nervous, all the emotions. I calmed myself down because, like I said, I had this feeling from the man above that this is the way. So as terrified as I was, I knew that everything was going to be okay. We slept through the night at the hotel, but we were up early the next morning to go to now I remember how it went. So the day came, got dropped off at the airport, or at the hotel by my parents and siblings. Spent the night at the hotel. Next morning, got up to go to MEPS, which was again, long experience, terrible, just horrible. And then after MEPS, went to the airport to finally get shipped off to Lackland. We arrived in San Antonio, the airport, got the bags, and pretty much right after we got our bags, it kind of started right there in the airport, which was kind of obnoxious for me, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't intimidated by the lady who was yelling at us. I was just kind of we're in an airport. Why are you yelling? But obviously, you're at BMT, they gotta make a big deal of it. So she was yelling, you gotta get in line, grab this, grab that, put on your mask, da da da. We got to the bus, and then that bus ride felt like you've been sentenced to prison and now you're on the bus ride to the prison. And the whole way through, you see everybody like looking out the windows. It's like the middle of the night. They're like, oh, where are we? What does San Antonio look like? One thing I did notice, the gas is really cheap over there. That was crazy. And since that was prime time COVID, everything was really cheap. But like over there, it was crazy. I think I saw a gas station that was like less than $1 per gallon. That was insane. Pulling up to the gate, I sent my final messages, texts, family, friends. Hey guys, I'm turning off my phone. See you on the other side, basically. Pulled up to this big area, which I didn't know what it was. Other people had a different experience. They said that when they got off that bus, people were yelling at them and shit like that. But we got off the bus and everybody's really calm. They gave us a backpack. They said, go over here, go over there, pick up some stuff, some essentials. And then we got back on the bus. And that's when it really started happening. We pulled up to our training squadron. I was the 326 squadron, the Bulldogs. I have my coin actually from when I graduated. Oh wait, wrong pocket. So we pulled up, and you know, you see it in pretty much every military BMT video where they'll come on the bus and start saying, we're gonna get off the bus, this is what's happening, you're gonna do that. They start yelling and bitching at you. So here's my coin, the 326 training squadron, the Bulldogs. Got that, and then in the other pocket, my left breast pocket over my heart, I have my graduation coin from BMT. The dude came on. He wasn't really yelling, if I'm being honest. Like, it was happening, but it wasn't really happening yet. He was yelling, he was talking really loud. But it's when we got off the bus, that's when it started happening. There was like a dude, I think, waiting around the corner, like once you got off the bus, he was like right on your right. He was, ah, ah. That shit was hilarious to me. Yeah, they led us over under the squadron, and we had to like sit down on these little circles, these place markers. They threw some MREs at us, said, you gotta eat this in 5 minutes while you also organize this. Like, they had us organizing our backpacks and eating at the same time. And I didn't know what an MRE was. I thought they were talking about my backpack at first. I heard some other kid that was confused. He was like, what's an MRE? Sure enough, the MTI was like flaming his ass because you're an idiot. It was the food pouch. I didn't know how to work it. So really, I only got like half a cracker out of it and then had to throw away the rest. I was really hungry, but it didn't matter because it was like past midnight. Eventually, we made it up into my dorm area. I picked out a locker, set my stuff down, and I think I remember people showering, but it was kind of up to you whether you showered or not. Why is there a bug? I just kind of laid down, went to sleep, and really, I didn't really go to sleep. I took a nap. Next morning, you know, it's the typical, gotta set an impression with the MTIs. They came through banging on the door, wake up, wake up, wake up, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even think most of my flight was there yet because flights were delayed because COVID and this and that. So there wasn't a lot of people in my dorm. They came through anyways and started tearing shit up, just being assholes. I looked like such an idiot the first morning. I had to go to the bathroom, and I left my bottle of water just kind of laying on the bed. I came back from the bathroom, and our MTI was standing over my bed. She was like, who the fuck dropped their water all over the bed? I'm sitting there at the end of the bay. I'm like, I walk over, I stand in front of my locker because she told me to. I didn't know that you had to say a reporting statement anytime you spoke or were addressed. So she was like, trainee, why'd you piss the bed? She started making everybody think that I pissed the fucking bed. That was really mean. But, you know, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to, like, break you down. Now I was the guy who pissed his bed, even though it was very clear that it was just water spilled all over the bed. But yeah. Why'd you piss the bed? Why'd you piss? Why'd you piss? And again, I didn't know the reporting statement had to be said anytime you were addressed. So I'm like, I don't know. I didn't piss the bed. I dropped my water. Blah, blah. She was like, why are you talking to me without a reporting statement? I'm like, what is that? She's like, you don't know what a reporting statement is? What the fuck is your problem? I look like such an idiot. And I almost wanted to laugh because, again, this is during like prime time COVID. So she's like in my face. We're both wearing masks and we both look like fucking birds just pecking at each other. I was like shaking in my boots, but I wanted to burst out laughing. It was really funny. She had to like say it with me. She's like, ma'am, trainee. I'm like, ma'am, trainee. Ma'am, trainee Hernandez Riera. And then I had to repeat it back to her. She's like, okay, now say it again and tell me why you pissed the bed. I'm like, ma'am, trainee Hernandez Riera, report is ordered. I didn't piss the bed. She's like, bullshit. I see the proof right there. She was, oh God. I looked like such an idiot that morning. Other than that, honestly, things kind of went just downhill from there as far as like the screaming in your face shit. We had two of the chillest MTIs in the entire squadron. After that day, they never really yelled at us ever again. Which our flight took notice of because obviously all the other flights were getting their asses torn up. And we're just here chilling. So as a flight, we agreed, not like verbally, but we all kind of knew, like, oh, we got something good here. Let's be the best behaved flight, which we ended up being. It was honestly just a really good time. I can't say anything bad about BMT. Now, of course, I only really got 3.5 weeks, but in those 3.5 weeks, I had a good experience. It was something almost beautiful about having no responsibilities except how to roll up my sock correctly. There was none of the outside world distractions, no music, no social media. I don't know, to be honest. It was kind of great. Especially with the great flight that we had. I made a great group of friends that I still talk to this day. It was a great time, honestly, and especially with how chill our MTIs were. We went 2 weeks, and after that first like day or two, we never really got yelled at. But those 2 weeks were still really draining. Obviously, COVID was real prevalent, and we weren't allowed to do much at all. They didn't let us go outside. We didn't get to do any PT, really. All they really had us doing was like push-ups and sit-ups in our dorm, and that was it. Because I'm pretty sure at the time, now that I remember, there was a ROM. I don't remember what ROM stands for, but it was a 2-week ROM period, or like a 1-week ROM period. I think it was 1 week actually. We did the 1 week. We literally spent the entire week just locked in the dorm, propped up on our lockers and our chairs, just studying for the end of course exam. That was really draining, honestly. We all kind of hated our lives. It was just details, lunch, or breakfast, lunch, dinner, more details, go to sleep, wake up the next day, repeat. And in between of all the details and the lunch and the food, studying. That second week, I think we were allowed to get a little bit more active. We actually got to go outside and like do squadron PT, run around. Or not like run around, but go on runs and shit. But eventually, I think it was like 3 or 4 kids that popped positive for COVID, and our brother flight and sister flight. One of our MTIs had no contact with anybody somehow. So he got put onto a flight that came after us, I believe, but he got switched flights. So we kept Sergeant Bolanino. She was best. The best. When we came out of quarantine, the guy got replaced with Sergeant Montoya. She was a hard ass, but she had her nice moments. It was a good balance because in the mornings we would get Sergeant Montoya. She'd get us right for PT, all charged up and shit, and then in the afternoon, Sergeant Bolanino would come in and it would just be chilling the rest of the day. We get quarantined for 2 weeks, and it was really awesome, honestly. It was really refreshing. Like I said, we were all really drained as a flight. On the bus ride over to the quarantine hotel, we all like exchanged snaps and numbers and made a Discord even, and just kept in contact. And especially because the NBA playoffs, the Orlando bubble, because they canceled the NBA and then they brought it back, they had started. So I was in such a great place, if I'm being honest. Like, this is why BMT was so awesome for me, because I got a 2-week quarantine of just watching NBA playoffs throughout the day, just every single day. It was chef's kiss. And all I had to worry about was keeping my push-ups and sit-ups in good order, and waking up early, going to sleep early, having my lunch and foods, dinner, breakfast, everything was provided. All I had to do was just chill. Texted, called friends, family. It was great. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Within those first few days, usually immediately, like within those first 2 days, they have you like cut off all your hair, obviously. But we had to wait a few extra days because of COVID. I guess everything was just like really backed up as far as the barber staff or something. I don't remember. But we had to wait a little extra long. So, entering BMT, I'm gonna put up the picture. The day before, my hair was real silky. It was all nice and done. Ah, nice and oof. I had luscious hair. Leading up to those days that they did cut my hair, shit, my hair was so bad because I couldn't straighten it or fucking or not straighten it. My bad. I couldn't air blow it. So it just started getting all like tangled up and bullshit. It looked like I had a fucking rat's nest on my head. It was hilarious. But I also became kind of popular, I guess, throughout the flight because everybody was like looking at me like, oh my god, his haircut is going to be so awesome. It was kind of emotional for me because obviously I got so attached to how I looked with the hair. I liked how I looked with my long hair. I spent so long growing it out. All that effort just to be buzzed off. I was kind of mad. And I was also like tears of joy, I guess you could say, because it was signifying like a new beginning for me, right? You're committing to the Air Force or the BMT experience at that point. You're like, boom, hair is gone, let's get it. But yeah, I just spent 2 weeks alone refreshing myself, and by the time we got back, I was remotivated. All we only really had, if you do the math, 2 weeks in regular BMT, 2 weeks in quarantine. All I had left was another like week and a half. So we got back. I think that first day we got back, we had to go get fitted officially for our OCPs and blues. And then we had to do Beast Week. Now, regularly, Beast Week is a week. That's what it's called. But because of COVID, we only got like 3 days. We were there like a Monday to Wednesday, or like it was 3 days. I don't remember what the days were. And normally they have you do all these obstacle courses, the gas chamber, all this extra shit. We did nothing. I'm talking about nothing. Well, we did some of the obstacle course. There were a lot of courses that they didn't let us do because of COVID. So it was really only the courses that like gave space throughout, the people. You couldn't really be too close and stuff. What's up? Oh, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention Cadam, which was during Beast Week or the 3 days that we got it. Pretty much, it's a really short story. I had never touched a gun before in my life, unless it was like a water gun, before Cadam. So I showed up and they were making us shoot M16s, I believe. I don't know. If you know anything about guns, you can probably figure it out when I put the picture in. I was really nervous. I don't generally like guns. So, the test made me nervous because if you didn't pass, you get washed back. And B, I was nervous because I'd never shot or held a gun before. During the practice rounds, the coach that was assigned to me, he was really concerned that he was genuinely concerned that I was going to fail because I hit like none of the targets during the practice rounds. So when it came to test time, I remember him specifically walking over to me and he was like, there's nothing I can do about you. Good luck. And then he just walks away. I was like, what the fuck? I'm done. I'm done for. I'm getting washed back. It's over. Like, I may as well just go home now. By the grace of God, I passed by 1. I think the limit is like 14 or 15, and I got like 15 or 16. I literally passed by 1 shot. So that's really hilarious. Anyways, that was pretty much it with Cadam. Beast Week was cut short for us because of COVID, obviously. And all we really got to do is wake up early, eat MREs on the ground all day. We did the obstacle courses that one day. We didn't get to do a lot of shit. So it was really just sitting around in the desert and waiting until we got to do the obstacle courses, which we only did like 3 of. And then Beast Week was over. We got back from Beast Week and they were like, oh, you guys got to be ready for your PT test. Now that was kind of fucked, if I'm being honest, because we spent the 2 weeks in quarantine, and even before quarantine, we weren't really allowed to do physical activity. We got like 3 days of physical activity after the ROM that week before quarantine, and that was it. So we got out of Beast Week and quarantine, and they were like, PT test the next day, basically. And we had a bunch of people fail the PT test. I think they even failed their second try and got washed back. Our friend group, there was this one guy, I forget his name, He was a real nice guy. We all loved him. And when he got washed back, it was so emotional. We actually all cried. As a group of friends, we cried to see him go. And if I remember correctly, he didn't actually end up finishing BMT. He ended up just going home. He decided that the Air Force, I guess, wasn't for him. Because, I mean, that's what it does. You know, it breaks you down. He just didn't want to do it anymore. So now he's back to the civilian world, and I hope he's doing good wherever he is. But yeah, I got through my PT test. I crushed the push-ups. I don't remember what the requirement is. It's like 67 push-ups at least to get full points. I got like 85 because in quarantine I was just fucking banging them out. Crushed the sit-ups. The run, I've never been a runner. Now lately, if you've been watching our videos, we've become runners, VNA and I, and actually this morning I went for a 6.5 mile run with our friend Lennon, and we kept like a 10-minute pace the entire time. I'm surprised I was able to do that, but anyways, I was not a runner at the time. Yes, I had always been super active, playing basketball, football, ultimate frisbee, fucking so many sports is the point. We played every single day. At school, I was one of those kids that would come in and be like, hey, let me get a shot. Like, I skipped class just to go to the gym and like play basketball with random people. And I even took PE classes just to purposely play basketball every day. So I was playing basketball throughout the week, and then on the weekends playing more sports with my friends. So I was super active, but that's mostly just like short sprints, you know? Football, you just run, you stop, run, stop. Basketball, it's a different kind of conditioning to distance running. So yeah, I didn't get a great time for my BMT PT test, but I passed, and that's what matters. Soon after that, we had the EOC, which similar to my ASVAB that I got 82 on. I got like an 80 on the EOC, so not too bad. Enough to pass. I wasn't really looking to like score a high grade. I was just looking to pass. Because I'm like, I'm ready to get the fuck out of here. Like, whatever. The last few days were really easy. I mean, Sergeant Bolignino was such a cool lady. She was so awesome. She would play music throughout the day. And this is what I'm saying, like our MTI, especially mostly Sergeant Bolignino, she was so cool. Played music for us. She even like kept us updated with the NBA playoffs and any other sports world going on. Like she kept us in touch with the real world. So she was just giving us a lot of hope and like giving us enough happiness, I guess you could say, to make it to the end those last few days. Yeah, eventually we graduated. I believe it was September 17th where I got this coin. I mean, if you've graduated from Air Force BMT, you definitely have this coin. But for those that have never seen it, it's actually one of the smaller coins that I have. Aim high, fly, fight, win. Boom, that thing. Double-sided. It's basically the same shit on the back. But yeah, I cried. I think I found out recently that other people didn't have Tennessee Whiskey playing at their graduation. I did. I like that song purely because of that. But yeah, I cried that day because it was just like, finally made it through. Acting like it was a hard BMT. I mean, it had its challenges because it was just so much downtime because of COVID. But at the end of the day, I had such a small experience compared to what it should have been. And like how I said, the guy MTI at the very beginning, we got replaced with Sergeant Montoya, a lady. And after our graduation, she was like, guys, I'm really proud of you, but to be honest, I'm really sorry that you got the shit end of the stick. Because we did. We got shortchanged with the BMT experience. It got shortened to 5.5 weeks, and because of quarantine, we only really got 3.5 weeks. And because of COVID again, our Beast Week was shit. A lot of it was not what it should have been, but I'm not going to complain. I mean, doing a real 7.5 weeks would have been worse, which is the point, obviously, but you know, everybody has their different experiences. While mine was easier compared to others, it was still challenging. It had its challenges, but you know, I can't complain. I definitely can't complain. We had a great group. a great set of MTIs, and I used to say back when I was in BMT, I'm like, "Ugh, I couldn't get paid enough money to do this shit again." I'm telling you right now, if somebody gave me like $1 million, I might even do that shit for free. That's how easy it was. At the time, I was thinking, I don't care. You can pay me $1 billion. I'm not doing this shit again. Right now, give me that $1 billion. Give me however much money you want. I don't give a shit. I will literally do it. It was so easy. And it was fun. Because like I said, there was something beautiful about having no real world responsibilities. It was just doing what you're told. You didn't have to think for yourself. The MTIs told us what to do. We did it. And it was just a lot of time to just kind of relax. Mostly because of COVID. But I had a good experience. I'm not gonna lie. But right, I graduated September 17th. Pretty much that, or not the same day. The next morning, I was off to Shepherd Air Force Base, where I trained for my career field, which, if you don't know, is the AFSC is 2WOX1. The name is Munition Systems Apprentice, I think. What we call ourselves is ammo troops. I am an ammo troop. Here at Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson, I work conventional, which is basically supplying chaff and flare to our F-22s and 20 mil. We got there and it was like COVID didn't exist because they had that base on such lock because of COVID that basically anybody who was in it was safe. So you got there and we never really had to wear masks, like ever. At least if you were outside. Yeah, right. So inside we had to wear masks. Outside, anything goes. And it was so awesome. We had so much freedom. You know, we got to get reintroduced to regular life. Phones, everybody had their PlayStations, Xboxes shipped from home. You had to get your clothes shipped from home. I had a great time at Shepherd as far as my social and like the friend life goes. Like we all played basketball pretty much every day, every weekend at the very least. Hung out with my boys. We had such a great time. Kevon, Paige, Cadet. Well, his first name is Carvin, but I know him as Cadet. That was our group. Paige, Kevon, Cadet, Vidal. Throughout, they made friends, and they kind of were somewhat brought into our group. I was like, with Kevon, we were in like a skater group because, as some of you know, I like to skateboard. I've always skateboarded like my entire life, really. The love life, not so much. It was a very turbulent time for VNA and I. While I did say that Shepherd should have been like a 7-week time for me, it ended up being like way more because I can't even lie to you guys. I've never been a fan of school, like I said at the beginning of the video, and my study habits, transferred. Now, VNA will tell you, I was trying my ass off because I got washed back twice because I failed the EOC. At the end of every week, you would have an exam reflecting on the entire week to be able to progress to the next week. But if you failed, they would wash you back into another class. I failed twice. I passed block 1, I failed block 2, and then I passed block 2, 3, 4, failed 5, got washed back, and then had to do 5 again, 6, and 7. So I had 3 different classes. At the very beginning, the first time I failed, that was purely because of my study habits. The other time that I failed, that was just because I just couldn't seem to crack the material. It just wasn't sticking. But I did try my ass off, eventually made it through, graduated, and the rest is history, really. While COVID was pretty prevalent throughout 2021 and some of 2022, it didn't really matter at that point. Here in Alaska, things were mostly normal. Excuse me. So, didn't really have an issue. Yeah, guys, that is my BMT and beginning of my Air Force career, COVID experience. A lot of it was dumbed down because of COVID, but in the end, I have no complaints, to be honest. Everything worked out the way it was meant to. While my initial Air Force contract was going to be 6 years, from July of 2020 to July of 2026. Because of this PCS to Italy that we have coming up, I've been extended to December of 2027. So an extra year and a half. I've mentioned that like twice already, but if you don't know, now you know. I'm looking at 7.5 years now, and what I'll do as far as getting out or staying in remains to be seen. Hopefully, I get out. I'll see when the time comes, but as of right now, the plan is to get out and get back to civilian life when the time comes. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you next week with VNA. Something I forgot to say during the video. If you are wondering whether you want to join the Air Force, the Army, just the military in general, sorry. Again, for my English, it's not my first language. I recommend it, honestly. If you're like me, don't want to go to college and you don't just want to be a homebody and, you know, just be pathetic or something, have nothing to do, join the military. It'll give you direction, it'll give you stability in life, it'll give you time to think about what you want to do if you ever want to figure that out. Or if you have done college and you just want to do it, do it. Like, if you're thinking about it, I suggest you take it seriously. If you think about it in any capacity at all, take it seriously. While my specific career field, if you look up how I said my career field, the AFSC is 2WOX1, and the title would be Munition Systems Apprentice. It looks all good because that's how they want to make it look. You build bombs, it's all pretty cool. To be honest, my career field is definitely the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the Air Force. There are so many more things the Air Force has to offer as far as career field. Stuff that'll get you paid when you go civilian. Like, if I were to take this job experience that I have right now and go to the civilian world and try to apply for jobs, none of my skill set would translate to anything lucrative. It just won't. I wouldn't get paid very much at all. Probably the same that I get paid now if I were to take my skill set to the civilian world. So, if you do want to join the Air Force or anything like that, try to get yourself in a good position. That's why you need to pass the ASVAB, do good on specific sections so that they can consider you for the higher tier things. Maybe I didn't do good in specific sections enough to the point where they would present me with a list of options that are more cyber related or high tech and all this other shit. I got an 82, but maybe it just wasn't what they were looking for in those specific career fields. So I suggest, again, if you are thinking about it, take it seriously, do as good as you can on any test that you can, and make the best of it. It's not a bad life. It's not the life I envisioned for myself, and it's still not. I'm not looking to do a full 20 years. Hopefully, with this YouTube stuff and anything else, I can find a way out of this. But it's not a bad gig, I'll say that much. And as far as my specific thing goes, again, it is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the Air Force. I suggest looking for another career field. Don't get trapped by you're building bombs, it's so cool. Oh. Don't get trapped. Look for something else. I don't know how to say this without shitting on ammo as a whole. It's easy. If you're looking for an easy way to ride out 20 years, this would be one of those things. But if you're looking for something that will give you a good, great military Air Force experience, something that you can take to the civilian world that will get you paid, munition systems, ammo is not the way. It's just not. So, yeah, that's really all I had to say. I did forget to say at the end of the video, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, and hit the like button, please and thank you. We'll see you next time.